Hey, how you doing guys? ZedEye here. So, first of all, I wanted to apologize regarding of my not so frequent of uploads that I actually ended up not, doing basically. Well, I have a very good reason for that. It's because of Elden Ring. I've been playing it all day, all night. Basically, I'm addicted. So, for good reason perhaps as well, right? Elden Ring is an incredible game. I'm gonna have a big review for it as well in a few days. But also, in this video, you may have already noticed that there's a difference in terms of the title. And yes, I'm not the only one that's going to be sharing my thoughts on the Hogwarts Legacy. So, very recently, a few days ago to be precise, that there was a state of play for Hogwarts Legacy, and a day afterwards, we decided, me and Stryker, we decided to make a podcast regarding of the games that we will be looking forward to and far more. Now, if you want to check out an unedited version of the podcast, I will leave down links below in the description. Also, I will leave down links below to his social media, mainly on his Twitter, if you want to check him out, Stryker by the name. And as such, if you want to see not just about Hogwarts Legacy but much more related in gaming, you've got it right there in the description. And as such, me and Stryker are going to be sharing our thoughts on this. And by the way, I do apologize regarding of the microphone quality, since he was the one that was recording on his end. Then he sent it over to my side. So of course the quality and the microphone will be a little bit different compared to what you're hearing currently at the moment. And as such, still please do enjoy this video and commentary. Sit back, relax, all that good stuff. I'll be honest, the first that, when I heard of the meaning of Hogwarts Legacy, what it was all about, like way before we actually finally got the chance of seeing the state of play out of it and, gameplay and a lot of that stuff, I was not really like looking forward to it. I was just one of those people that's just like, okay, this one other big game, AAA game, right? It is a AAA game stands, right? And I was just like, okay, I'm curious, I'll check it out, what's it about. But of course we have to wait quite a while until we finally see the gameplay. Now that we have, I'll be honest, I'm actually looking more forward to it than I have anticipated. Why? It's because of what they have showed in terms of what you can do within the game, within that world. Sure, there's a lot of things that maybe a lot of people will not like, and is that, like, for example, homework. Going to school, like a lot of people just like find this tedious, annoying, slow, but I like slow games. For example, like maybe as to come to my mind, like Red Dead Redemption 2, right? That was a very slow game. Death Stranding, super slow game. I love those games, like to the point of getting a platinum trophy, in fact, on both of those games, mind you. And of course, like when I saw Hogwarts Legacy and its gameplay, on top of that, combat, the world, the exploration that you can do, it seems like it's a very big step for a Harry Potter game. Now I know Harry Potter technically isn't in this game, but still, I don't even have any like a lore or knowledge of Harry Potter, right? Of the books, nor do I have any knowledge much of any of the movies. I read, I think, was like 2 books from Harry Potter. I think there was like the very first and the second book, but I completely forgot most of it already. I've seen few of the movies, majority I even would say, but I'm not like a fan, okay? So this is why I had no like anticipation for this game. But now that I've seen the gameplay, I'm more interested. Of course, this is always done with the marketing. It's normal. There's always like the best cases that they do with the trailers, the presentation, and there's always like the best parts about within the game that you can experience. We'll have to wait and see, and to experience it for ourselves. Will it actually be that great and fantastic game? Will it actually have depth? Will it actually have an interesting and cohesive story as well? Like at first, when I was looking as well, by the way, I should mention this, when I was looking at the state of play and like seeing during the conversations that you were having, or you could have, in fact, first I was thinking, wait, is our character a mute? He doesn't talk. And I was like, man, if our character is mute, I'm not fucking playing this game. Oh, perhaps I apologize for my language. We haven't actually clarified if we can.
No, you're good. Yeah, you're good. Language is fine as long as it's nothing like the R word. But you're fine. No biggie. You can swear.
All right, and that's good to hear. That's good to hear. But anyway, so I would not be interested within this game because last time, the last mute sort of main protagonist that I played was Metro Exodus. Even though I absolutely love Metro Exodus, but the mute character, god damn, I really want my character to be to have a character, to have a voice. That's most important. But thankfully, they even showed in a trailer further down that yes, indeed, our character does talk, and so I'm glad about that. But yes, my initial impressions were indeed positive.
For what I've experienced, I'm not entirely convinced. It's very expansive, and it looks like a very, very beautiful world. And I definitely would mind flying around on a broomstick to see what this is all about. I'm just not entirely convinced with the combat, and I feel like that's something where I might have to experience it with the controller in my hand. Like it looks kind of button mashy a little bit. Like it's just like mash square and it's combat. It's just like I don't. And you have your spells, and the spells look pretty cool for the most part. I like how you can do certain moves like blinking, like teleporting back and forth. It looks very expansive when it comes to the magic. I'm not exactly sure. I don't know. I gotta see more. I've never been entirely interested in the world of what Harry Potter did create, and it's I don't know if that's gonna really be against me if I do give this game a shot and see how it goes. But I could definitely see people who love this whole universe as a whole would definitely be like losing it, because it does look like something that would definitely be very appreciated by a Harry Potter fan.
Absolutely. You mentioned it as well. The broomstick thing, flying, it looks really, really good. Mm-hmm. Now, I do not know the names of, the animals, monsters, and whatnot that you can summon. One of them is like maybe a griffin, or a horse, basically, with the wings that you can fly around as well with that kind of wave traversing. That looks amazing. But the combat, I wanted to touch on that. You're having kind of doubts about that. Me personally, I really like what I've seen because it's something fresh. I don't think I've seen something like this within any AAA standards of video games. And mind you, because I like perhaps not, it's not a good comparison, but the reason I'm bringing it up, Death Stranding, is because it was a very new step and very bold step, mind you, for a AAA game, right? It doesn't count as an indie game, but like, I appreciated it because it was something new, finally. We always get the same shit every time, right? Open world games with shooter aspects or perhaps melee combat. And that's it. Mm-hmm. Again, I'm not like saying it's a completely bad thing. For example, like Elden Ring, right? Elden Ring is having fantastic time. It is finally an open world. It does phenomenal things. And it has the combat with the magic in it. But what like Hogwarts Legacy does, it's obviously very, very different. And of course, using the magic in terms of the combat, that's what makes it interesting because it's a new and bold step. I'm curious to see. Of course, button mashy, I can see it too. Because I noticed some of the enemies seem way kind of weak, right? Like they kind of seem you kind of have to chip away their health all the time when you use your sorcery or whatever you use. And then maybe that I can see why a lot of people will be kind of doubting it. But right. I can see where you're coming from, basically.
Right. And like it could definitely I think to really make this type of combat interesting, you have to give a lot of freedom to what you want your character to be. So I'm reading up on the article here. There's different types of playthroughs. So if you want to go in like loud or someone who can give a lot of damage, there's different spells that you can use that goes with your playthrough, basically. So stealth, you could do a stealth playthrough, it seems like, with your character based on you using certain specific spells that would go with the stealth approach if you want to do something like that. So I feel like if you're gonna do combat like this, you're gonna have to give a lot of freedom to the player to use the spells that they want to do based off how they play this game. So, because I if it really comes down to like two different like play styles, I could see it getting very old very, very fast. And they're really trying to go with this whole build your own story approach. So if you're gonna do that, I want to build my character from scratch, and to play exactly how I want to play and have that freedom to do whatever I want to do with my wizard. So that's definitely gonna be a big one if they're gonna do combat like this, where they have to give the gamer a lot of freedom to the kind of spells they want to do based off their play style, for sure.
You mentioning it with that as well, I've noticed that, at the very beginning of the game, well, I assume anyway, that's how it starts, like you get transferred into the school and you learn all about this, right? Mm-hmm. I actually wanted to ask you about this too. What do you think about that aspect, right? You basically have to do, homework, right? You have to go to classrooms, you have to study up on things, you'll have to do these sorceries, you'll have to do these duels against your own classmates. Mm-hmm. Like basically going from a corridor to a corridor, and of course within those corridors, if you know a little bit about Harry Potter world and stuff like that, there's always these mysteries that you can find, these ghosts or spirits, I should say, right? Like you can meet. They're the teachers. They teach you stuff that you could like never known about, or perhaps maybe this is my theory I'm bringing out, and this might be very interesting as well. But what if, and mind you, what if you go to this particular classes, maybe say they are catered more towards, like you said, sneaking and kind of being a silent kind of a combatant, like basically like an assassin type. Mm-hmm. And you go specific classes that are catered for that aspect, and that's how you can grow your character to be, right? This actually has a diversity of having freedom within the game, like you mentioned. Again, I'm not sure if this is actually going to be how it's going to actually be in here, but I think it will be interesting. What do you think about that?
That would definitely be something that I could definitely see happening. It's a good idea. I could see that, definitely. I'm just reading up into this article, and something else that did catch my eye was how I gotta find it again. It was saying something about either being a wizard or a witch. So it starts to creating the witch or the wizard you want to be. So and usually you could be a good witch, but usually the term witch goes with like a bad character. So now I wonder if there is like sort of like a morality system. That's something that I feel like is not really put in games anymore. Is morals, a moral system. Where your choices really do matter. Like that's something that I used to always appreciate about the old Fallout games, is that every choice you made, those big choices would actually depict the ending, and then when you finish the game it would tell you, because of these actions, here's what happened. And I've never seen a game actually ace that so well like the Fallout series used to do.
Can you say The Witcher 3 though?
The Witcher 3 kinda, but it wasn't, Geralt wasn't really your character. Like Geralt kind of had a path where you kind of had to follow what he wanted to do. With Fallout, the Fallout series or whatever, or Skyrim. No, let's just go with the Fallout series. You built that character the way you wanted to, so you can be screwed up, but also still kind of be good. Let's say Red Dead Redemption 2. That's a character where your choices could really depict the world around you. If you play as a piece of crap, that actually affects your playthrough while playing to be a good citizen. And we all know that affects the ending too, based off those choices. So I think it'd be very, very cool if I had the choice to either be, the student with a very dark past, or I can do certain actions that I'd be like, you probably shouldn't do that, you'll be looked down upon. I wouldn't mind being like the Luke Skywalker in this game. Minus killing the little children. I don't kill children, but it would definitely be something interesting to have that choice to really, have that moral system of just, being a greedy spellcaster who wants to have all the power and is putting all these other people at risk because of it. That would definitely add some more depth to the story. And to add more to what you said about, that you are going to be going to school and have these classes, that's going to have to really, really go well with the environment, the characters that's going to be around you, because technically, yes, you're right, you're still going to school. And if we all know, there's nothing fun about school life. So, there has to be a lot of detail in the environment and the characters that you have around you to make this an experience that's going to be something that's so memorable. Because, attending Hogwarts is like, every Harry Potter's dream, to be in a world of fantasy like this. So they really have to, ace that. And I feel like they can. From the characters that we've seen throughout the trailers, it definitely seems like it could be something very, very interesting to see specific characters and what they give to your experience. So I definitely would love to see more about that as we get closer to whenever it comes out.
Regarding the coming out thing, it's been mentioned holiday 2022.
Mm-hmm.
If you did not know, but basically, as well, I wanted to touch on regarding the differences that you can choose within the world, like of your own actions, and this could mean or lead towards a good or bad path. Hell, in fact, even more different endings and choices, right? Maybe up to 4 to 5 or 10 different choices of endings that you can do. Of course, everything leads to that point. Now, regarding that really depends how much they want to go about. In fact, I would argue, well, I know they already kind of announced that they're gonna have like different paths, like you make the call, your actions lead how this world is basically gonna go about. I get it. In fact, I would argue to say that maybe it was just going one way or 2 ways maximum would have been enough. But, in terms of freedom, that will be kind of restricting, because you wouldn't be playing as you are that character. Instead, you'll be playing as a character, right? Not yourself, but like you said, The Witcher, right? Geralt, right? He is that character. You're not Geralt. Basically, Geralt is Geralt. You just play as Geralt. That's what I mean. But in this game, you create the character. You are that character. You make the choice. Not the character, but you make the choice. So I can see it happening, but also there could be something going wrong with that too. For example, Dying Light 2. Remember when they were like saying in the marketing before the game's release, they're like, the choices that you make will be, well, there can be consequences too. But in all reality, was it even anything substantial in terms of the choices that you can make, right?
Which game was this again? I kind of
Dying Light 2.
Dying Light 2. I didn't play enough of it where I feel like my choices really didn't matter. I just didn't feel like the story was that interesting for me to be like, oh my god, this is a big choice, because every choice, whatever choice you got, didn't really matter to me. Like whenever I'm not interested in the story of some sort, and I get some magic and I get some big choice, I usually go for the bad choice, because that seems to be the most interesting to me, to go down the dark way. So if it includes killing off a character, I'll probably go that way, because I want to see how that affects the world around me. So I'm not sure. From what I've heard, a lot of choices that are made throughout Dying Light 2 can kill off almost all the characters that you meet throughout the game, which is crazy. But you also have the option to play the golden child and to get the best ending that is possible. So it really comes down to, like I said, the story. If I'm very invested in the story, where I feel like those choices really do matter, like a Telltale game, if I make a choice that includes that will cause the death of a certain character, and if that hits me really hard, I will legit shut off the game and restart it and just redo that encounter, because I don't want to kill off that character. But that's because I'm extremely invested in that story, and I have to see how that's going to go.
Sounds like Mass Effect.
Pretty much. So it has to come down to exactly how very well fleshed out is the story in the world. And from what I'm seeing again from the trailer of Hogwarts Legacy, it has to do a lot. And again, because I'm really outside of this whole Hogwarts fantasy thing. Like, I watched all the Harry Potter films and everything, and it was cool, but it never grabbed me by its world and its lore. It was more just, it was just a simple experience for me. So I feel like this might be a little challenging for people who are outside of that bubble. But I think, again, looking at the way the world is, I would definitely love to, go around and see what it's like, so I can know more about this lore and see what creates what it is. For sure. Definitely.
Yeah. Definitely. Well, I don't really have anything else actually to say about Hogwarts Legacy, but still, with its release coming in holiday of 2022, again, there's always a possibility it may get delayed from that as well. I kind of wanted to touch on this because Bethesda, like you mentioned, Fallout, I think it will be a little bit of a comparison. I've been seeing this on Twitter and all over the social media, because mind you, right, we know that Starfield will be coming out, what was it, 11th of November, right, 2022, and so a lot of people are saying like Hogwarts Legacy is already beating Starfield, even though that's not exactly a fair thing to do, mind you, because like, one thing, we're talking about sci-fi, and second thing, right, like, because like sci-fi and fantasy, I don't think they really do true mix, and another thing as well, we don't know much about, well, Starfield. The only things that we've seen is just a concept, few ideas and conversations, a bit of everything like that, but we don't know the gameplay. We only seen a teaser, we only seen a CGI trailer for Starfield, and then making comparison with that is just like not fair. Even though for me, like, I'm not like ecstatic or hyped for Starfield. To be honest with you, I'm more interested in this Hogwarts Legacy because I know more about it.
Right.
But of course, exactly. Of course, I can presume and I can even say that the time when we will find out the gameplay and far more details of Starfield, it will be presumably in June, right?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, during that Microsoft's event or E3
probably,
or whatever they got.
Yeah. I don't know anything about Starfield, but people are probably comparing it because of the whole console war BS.
Oh yeah.
So
absolutely.
I hate comparing stuff to other stuff because I feel like, the progress that game went through to get to where it's at may not even be on the same level as what this other game's gone through to get to where it's at. So like, to compare those two things, it kind of doesn't seem really fair to me personally. So it comes down to this, if you want to play Hogwarts Legacy, I can kind of just see more people who love the whole Harry Potter thing to really get delved into that game and to get a lot out of it for sure. And Starfield being a new IP, kinda, could gather more people because it's something that's completely like on its own. It's its own thing. So it's almost like it's two different audiences. You know what I mean? So it's just, and plus, I mean, Starfield. I'm not sure if Starfield is Starfield exclusive to Xbox. I don't think it is.
Well, it's exclusive to Xbox and I guess PC as well. Well, then that's
okay. Okay.
Basically, it's not coming on PlayStation.
Gotcha. Okay, so that's it's not even further even more saying, oh well, technically, so it's the console war BS. So yeah, I can't even compare. Yeah. If you love Xbox, man, you want to play a Starfield, play a Starfield. Honestly, I just want to be alive for whenever new Elder Scrolls comes out. I hope that we're here and everything is in place for when this game does get like a trailer to show, hey, this is what we've been working on. But I don't really have much to say about Starfield really. I gotta see more of it. I didn't really watch any concept because there's nothing that really grabs my attention about it. But maybe I'll watch one of these days and see what they're talking about and see what this world they're kind of creating. Because I've seen a couple of the screenshots and it looks pretty interesting. But
yeah,
we'll see.
They're just screenshot. That's it. We've seen that plenty of times for Anthem. Remember those days?
Yeah.
My God.
But to tie everything up, Hogwarts Legacy looks promising. I definitely want to see more and learn more about its classes and the RPG elements of what it is. There's a lot of potential there. I could definitely see it being a thing. Any final words to tie it all up for Hogwarts Legacy?
Yeah, we'll definitely find out more about it during the gameplay, during the closer to, PlayStation event, presumably coming in September, maybe earlier. We do not know, of course. Of course, they're gonna have their own trailers, and closer to its release, we will find out more. And yeah, I am looking forward to it, but yet I'm also cautiously optimistic, if that makes sense. But either way, it's gonna be an interesting adventure.